So we're setting up to go live and with another podcast right now with James.
Hey
And
guys, all ready to go.
Hi everybody. So we're here with today's podcast. James and me going to talk about the WordPress security, and James is going to share his screen. And James got a nice setup today. Really good setup, right? I need to put some things in my wall and make sure mine also coming to the real standard. But let us go through and tell you exactly about some of the most important WordPress security tips which you should follow in 2022, because WordPress sites are good and easy to build and manage. But however, it's as there are millions of sites in the world built on WordPress, a lot of hackers are eyeing at it, like what are vulnerability issues are there if your plugins are not updated. If you do not look after your WordPress site, your hard work could be going in the drain, or else you have to just do the malware clearance and getting all these things sorted, which we also covered at SeekerHost, right? So, but we want to give you some of the tips which James will explain to you in today's presentation. James, let's tell people about the WordPress security and what's your plan.
Perfect. So yeah, like as Fernando said, let's move on to the next clip here. There's a few things that you can really secure yourself against, and there's a few things that they're just generally going to be looking in. Of course, logging in is the first one, and we're going to go through updates and stuff like that as well. But obviously, if they can log in, or if they can log in as you, that's a big no-no. Obviously, they can do anything they want if they can log as an admin. So we want to realistically make sure that you can secure that really well first. Another one which I haven't got listed on here, which Fernando mentioned, is actually staying up to date is a really important one. Whether it's your plugins, whether it's your themes, you want to make sure that you are staying up to date. The reason for this is they could find some security flaw. Obviously, the plugin, once they found this, will fix that. They'll fix the bug, whatever it was, any security issue. They'll provide an update, which you can then download, and just make sure that you're staying safe. If you don't keep it updated, then past security issues can then pop up. Somebody could then use that to potentially gain access to your site. Another one as well, which is always important, is a firewall. There's lots of bots online. There's lots of things or malicious things that people is going to be and all of these things that we're going to be doing today are going to be free as well. None of these will require any sort of paid plugin. Am I still coming through to you all right, Fernando?
I was coming. There's a couple of times you had some lagging.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the internet had a little bit of a lag. There was a little bit of a stuck, but yeah, we got the point what we were saying. But yeah, I think now it's working pretty fine.
It's working. Yeah, I had a little thing come up, and then lastly, we're going to be going through just general security. What good general security plugins have we got? We've got a nice little list as well of all the free ones that you can use, and a few little tips on adding a bit of security to this WordPress site, which hasn't got any security as of now. And yeah, just we'll be going through that. So obviously you can follow along as well if you haven't got any security, if you've simply just left it as the default. And yeah, are you anything else to add to that? Obviously, I know you've had a lot of experience. Oh, there we go. Oh, the screen was I didn't realize the screen wasn't showing all that time. Well, that's
that. So you were sharing the screen, the PowerPoint screen.
Yeah, so I just realized that it wasn't actually sharing. So yeah, let's go back to that now. So let me just re-explain that bit.
Show the people about the PowerPoint security.
Perfect. There we go.
This is what you're talking about, because I wasn't clear. You were looking at the screen and talking, and we were not getting this view though.
Yeah. No, I just realized then, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's start again with that. So we're going to be going through the login. Obviously, now you can see what I'm talking about as well. We're going to be going through the login. Stuff like changing the URL Slug, so people can't just put wp-admin and then log into your site. Other login stuff like limiting people, if it's bots, they can't just try continuously to try and log in with lots of different names. You can limit them, even ban their IP. Of course, firewall, like we mentioned, we're going to be using one of the most well-known plugins, and we'll also install this along the way on the website that we have. This is going to prevent a lot of other malicious stuff. It's also going to do stuff like show, even as far you can look, do the who is on people, check their IP, ban their IP. You can ban whole areas of IPs. And last of all is going to be general security. So we're going to go through the plugins, general plugins that you can use, which are also for free, which you can get installed right now. literally go to your plugins, add new, find one of these, and they're going to just do a good general security stuff like letting you know if any file changes have happened, any plugins have been updated without you knowing, and really lots of other things like that that you should be aware of. Now, as you wouldn't have seen, let me just pull that up now. We're going to be doing it on this site here. This site, very new site. It's got pretty much no security. Well, it's got no security. Nothing has been added to it. So yeah, we're just going to go along on this one and just add a bit of security, beef it up a little bit. As Fernando mentioned, it is vitally important because with so many WordPress sites, as he said, there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to find ways, to make it in. And like we mentioned earlier, updating is going to be an important one, whether it's a theme or a plugin. Make sure you're up to date. They would have, any security breaches or bugs they would have covered in their updates, sent you a new one. It's the same with your phone, your computer, everything like that. You want to stay up to date. You want to make sure you got the newest and best security. What sort of experience have you had, Fernando, about, because obviously I know you have a lot of blogs. Have you got any sort of favorite things that you use, or have you had any?
I mean, like when it comes to WordPress site, Kasun is the expert on that one, which I get to put. But I make sure when a WordPress site is built, right? So this WordFence, the WordPress security plugin is very known plugin, so we put that plugin.
That's one of the best,
right? And then other security things, what we do is changing the login URL, which is a very common login URL, WP admin, right? Because through this they use this login URL change is something that we really do on Clickdo and Seekohol, most of our blogs. So once you change that URL path, it's not easy for a hacker to figure out, because that's like you completely hiding where the gates are at. Because if they know where the gates, they can kind of play around, use those different ways to guess the username, password, and there are things. But however, if that login URL is very complicated, it's change and the stuff, which really prevent. That's one of the first things we do when we are building a money blog, a brand, a client's website, or that's from the past when we were doing. That's one of the core things we get started. Then it comes to of course, the plugin thing. And then one of the other things, as you also mentioned, plugins to be kept updated. You can have plugins that if you never update a plugin for 6 months and the plugin released a various updated version, that's one of the major things, like WordPress sites get hacked. So those three are very important to keep in the mind. And that's something that I've been following for years since I was starting WordPress blogs.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, realistically, anybody could just put /WP-admin and then try and log in as you. If you haven't got anything limiting them as well, they could sit there for hours. These bots can, do thousands and thousands of different versions until they got the right one. So very simple way to stop that. In fact, let's just go ahead now and actually get something installed on this site, which will do it. Like Fernando said, you got some really well-known ones. For this particular instance, we're going to be going to plugins, add new, and I'm going to be doing WP Server. Let's just search that up in the search bar here. Again, it's going to give you most of the good major anti-spam, anti-malware, general security as well. You're also going to have options like to change your URL slug and a few lesser known things like, I always get the wording wrong. I think it's QMLPRC or something like that. Which is another interesting one. I didn't know about this for a while, but people use that particular method to log in as you. It's actually a method to help mobile users, mobile compatibility. You can disable this so people can't actually, it doesn't disable your mobile compatibility, but it does disable the route of which they use to actually get to you. So let's just go with WP Server for now. I'm just going to go and install this. It's just going to be an easy one to be able to show everybody as well, how quickly, easily, and for free you can just add a bit of security. And this is really going to mitigate a lot of stuff, like the anti-spam, which is quite important. If you have got a WordPress site, you probably have noticed you have got just lots of comments coming through from spam sites and stuff like that. This will help with that, and it also integrates really nicely as well with other plugins. So once we've activated, it should eventually take us back to our plugin screen. And we can go through a few of the settings there, how you can change your URL slug. There we go. So that's all installed.
So this is one of the first plugins that you use, right?
Yeah. So I've been through a few, but actually WP Server is one that I've stuck with for a while because it's just the way in the setup, everything that you get to choose, the settings, they've made it really quite easy, and they've got a lot of things in one package rather than having to do different plugins for different uses. This one seems to support quite a lot, so it's quite a good general one.
Okay, yeah, that's a free plugin.
Free plugin as well, yeah. WP Server, free plugin. Nice. Let's just come over to here again, and it's pretty much off the bat. you can just get going. Like, it's starting to protect you already. You've already installed it. Obviously, from now you can then go to your main settings. You can add other stuff as well. If we go over to the main settings here, you can see a lot of this is how you can start to limit people. So, you know, how many tries are they allowed? How many tries are they allowed within how long? You know, if you don't want it to be within 30 minutes, you can change this to hours, you can change this to a few hours. This will stop people if they get it wrong 5 times. They won't be able to go any further. You can also go and then block their IP address. You can block it for a certain amount of time. So you can see how this is now starting to limit these people. And realistically, it's going to start, you know, they're going to start thinking, well, do I want to keep on with this? They've obviously done some security. I can easily move on to somewhere else which hasn't done their security. So, you know, often the first steps will just really help in terms of getting them off your back. So they're going to go, okay, this hasn't been so easy. Let's just move on. Let's just go down a little bit again, and changing your URL slug, super easy. Simply come down to your settings, custom URL, and then you can change it to whatever you want. You can literally, as you can see there, we've got the domain address /. Now, whatever you change this to, people will either need to guess this or find out somehow to even try and log in. So change this to something obscure, something that only you'll remember. Obviously, don't put a password name in there just in case someone does find out or whatever. But yeah, that's a great way. So just type something in there, press enter. You can choose whether it defers rendering to the custom page or not. And that's going to be a lot of the login stuff sorted already, isn't it? You know, people can't find the login page, and then after that they're limited. So if they try and guess wrong 5 times, you could have it so it blocks their IP for hours, if not days. And that's, you know, that's just a really good option. If we go down a little bit more, it's actually going to give you a few more good options right here. Right, let's see what have we got. What's a good one here? So this one right here. If you do see, and I probably won't be able to show on this podcast, but once you've got another plugin, which we'll go through in a bit, which is WordFence, or anybody using it, you might have seen a lot of people getting blocked for this particular action here, trying to log on to the WP login PHP. Here you can immediately block the IP, and what this does as well is as soon as you enable this plugin, it reads your specific IP, make sure that you're on the whitelist, so you know you don't end up getting blocked yourself. However, anybody else trying to request this will then get blocked.
Such an important thing, really. You know, I tell to even people, like especially some people invest on building PBNs like to a level, and they need to take these approaches for even for a PBN if you're investing your time and the money, because PBNs get hacked sometime, because if you're building it to place links and for SEO services. So this is a very important thing which you can implement on your WordPress private blog.
Yeah, absolutely. Just there we go. There's the other one. Another reason why I use this as well is because it's kind of cut out the use of XML RPC, which usually you have to get another plugin to disable. This one, simply a case of just selecting it and it will block the access to the XML RPC server. Which actually I didn't realize this took me months to realize. I kept seeing this pop up on WordFence. I was thinking, what is this? And obviously researching a little bit into it, actually, you know, people have used the mobile compatibility factor to, you know, sort of work their way in. So this is a great one to get disabled. You get it free on this plugin as well. You actually get it free on a number of plugins. Just this one, you know, it's all built in, it's all there. You've also got a load of other different things, whether you want to block unauthorized load scripts, PHP, you know, other PHP scripts for your WordPress media folder, stuff like notifications as well. If you give it your email, won't click on there, so I think it might have some personal information. I'm not too sure, but if you click on the notifications, you will get a notification. Let's say if somebody changes files. So let's say you're not on your PC, you know that you wouldn't have done anything yourself. You're going to get a notification saying this has changed, this has been uploaded, downloaded, and it will let you know, which is another great way to be able to stop something happening or realize that something is happening. And yeah, so that's pretty much going to be it with the WP server. Plugins do obviously change which ones you use. However, just fundamentally getting them first things done is going to be super important just to mitigate that first attack.
That's actually one of the core plugins that anybody can really go ahead and install to their WordPress site, WordPress private blog networks, any sort of a business blog as well. And then easy to do. Once you change your logging URL, you're pretty good. And then all the other things, functions that James said, implemented. If you have questions, you can always drop a comment below on the YouTube video. James will be answering you at Seekerhouse. We support people on implementing WordPress site security, and that's actually concepts service from us, like for business clients and all. We even provide it for free. So yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, if you don't see the links on this video, make sure to come to our YouTube. In the description, we put all the links of what we're talking about. You know, you can filter through all the links and the, you know, any posts that we mentioned, stuff like that. And of course, like Fernando said, make sure you do leave a comment. We do like to interact with people here. You know, if you are really worried about something, want a bit of help, drop it down there. And for that, we're going to be moving on to the setting up the firewall as well. Obviously, for a lot of people, you haven't really had a lot of experience with the firewall. You know, you start your PC, you know it's got a firewall, the Microsoft or Mac, or whatever you're using. That's pretty much the end of it. However, WordPress also needs a similar thing, something to mitigate login attempts and other stuff, malicious activity. And the one that I'm going to recommend for this, and I do believe it's actually the #1 rated, I could be wrong there, but it's WordFence. I use this on every single blog, every single, you know, money website, everything I've got this installed on, because it gives you a great amount of just a great amount of control. Obviously, the only problem with this is that, you know, I'll get this installed now. I'm not going to actually go into it because it ends up showing IPs of other people and yourself. But we'll have a little chat about it before I go first. Basically, what this is going to do is a really, really good firewall and a malware scanner. So the scanner, it will do automatically every so often. It will just scan through your documents and files, sorry, not documents. It will then send you an email if it finds anything wrong, anything that shouldn't be there, anything that might look malicious, so you can quickly go on and sort it out. However, one of the greatest things with the firewalls here is the accuracy of people trying to log on. It will show you who they are. You know, you can check up their full who is, their IP address. You can block it by IP address or by the network. You can even block whole countries by their IP, depending, you know. At one point, I kept having a blog targeted by Russian, you know, Russia continuously, and I could tell this because of the WordFence. So I ended up blocking up the whole Russian network actually for about 2 weeks, and that sorted out the problem. You know, after that, I unblocked it. And them particular attackers, but you know, you can really tailor it to who you block, how long you block them for. It will tell you exactly what file they try to access. So the things that we mentioned previously with the PHP, the XML, RPC, it will tell you word by word what they've tried to access, what they've done, at what point they got stopped. And yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you that actual screen, but it is super efficient. We'll just go ahead and download it now anyway, just so, you know, obviously you see the steps, much like the last one and much like every plugin.
So you will install both those plugins on a WordPress site, right?
Absolutely, yeah, because them two, realistically, I mean, unless you've got something more specific, them two will do a really complete job, because, you know, you've covered your general security, your login attempts, rate limiting, and also a really super good firewall of which you can use to like control. Obviously, the WP Server does have a firewall as well. I do believe it's also got anti-malware, some sort of scanning. It's just the WordFence is it's just really like super duper good. You know, it really goes in on all angles. You can, if you find somebody doing something malicious, you can click on them, you can find out who it is, you can find out from where they are, you can even find out what computer they're using to try and do it. It tells you whether they're a bot or a human. It's it's quite a fantastic one. Let's search this up just so you can see a picture as well, you know which one it is. Again, now I'm sure there are other ones on here, and they also do a security login security. So if you did want to just stick just with WordFence, you could do the login security, and then the malware scanner. I suppose they're probably adding more and more. I didn't see that last time. They've also got the WordPress assistant, but yeah, as you can see there, 4 million plus downloads. They've got 3,763 reviews, and they're still managing to go on a 4.5 star. And it's really easy to install. You're just going to install. Another thing I forgot to say as well, it's got this like interesting learning mechanism where you don't just set a firewall, you know, on like hard, easy, medium sort of thing. It learns. So you set it up on your PC, and then it takes about a week or so of just like seeing your activity, see what happens. And then it like personalizes the firewall to that, which I thought was a really interesting one. And pretty much that is all you're going to need there. Obviously, I'm not going to go too much into the settings. That will be something you can go onto yourself, just check how it works and stuff like that. But yeah, that's, you know, after installing that now, that's going to be, I'm just going to go on the dashboard in case it's got a habit of showing IPs on there, so I don't want to go on there. But yeah, really, you can also do stuff like, you know, make sure that you're whitelisted on your site. So, you know, if it ever blocks or thinks that you're malicious or something like that, you can make sure that, you know, it's not going to blacklist you or whatever, anything like that, which did happen to me on another really old security plugin. This one seems to mitigate that pretty well. And yeah, so those are realistically the main two. Obviously, again, I can't go into it once you have got it installed. Where is it? I can't see it on the left. Okay, I'll possibly have to activate and stuff. Anyway, we won't go too much into that. So that is going to be a super important one, which is going to be setting up a firewall, setting up a good firewall as well, and a good scanner. Last on the list of stuff to talk is general. Where are we? There we go. General security and other free plugins that you can use as well, because obviously it's not just them, is it? It's, you have a number of plugins. Each do something probably a little bit better than the other one, vice versa. Like you mentioned before, I think it's the WP Security. That's now called iTheme Security, I do believe. So yeah, that was the original one. It's one of the best ones.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, best known ones. They've just changed the name around a little bit. Security WordPress plugin. I haven't actually used this myself. I've heard fairly good things. All of these sort of ones seem to make it on like top 10 and top 5 lists and stuff like that. And like you can see on there, stuff like brute force login protection, you can get individually. Let's say you're having a real problem with one thing individually. They do seem to have, different things for different sections. There we go. And then we've got the all-in-one WP security and firewall. So obviously they're good ones to get started. General security is a must. Firewall you should really have. Login attempts is definitely a must as well. And just keeping yourself secure, really.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much the thing, really. So you can do it by yourself, and you want extra support, or if you're using SeekerHorse, if you're planning to move to SeekerHorse, you can always ask on our live chat support, book a call back with us, and get more advice about, say, like you have a business site, right? So it's been established, you had another security plugin which we didn't cover, maybe you're considering moving. It can be always discussed. Drop us a comment, ask us in the comments, or else on the live chat support, request a call back. One of the SeekerHorse experts will always call back. You can even book a call back, requesting to call James to call you back and walk you through understanding what security you have, or else you had maybe you somebody told like you never had a security plugin or implementation, and you kind of like you're thinking what should you have, because there are different sites. Some are minimum blogs, right? Some are advanced business sites with hundreds or thousands of pages, e-commerce sites. Depending on the complexity, you might, if you are ever confused about what plugin to use, how can you really protect your site, you can always ask from the SeekerHorse team. And if you're using SeekerHorse, even if not, you can always reach out to us by email. Send an email to james@seekerhorse.co.uk. Ask us on our live chat support on seekerhorse.com. Major all our 24/7 our team is there. And even you can email to me at fernando@seekerhorse.com for anything regarding WordPress, how to grow your WordPress site, how to protect it, how to scale WordPress sites with such a high performance, so you can make money out of it. So that's the primary goal. So I think that's about it in this podcast, James, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we covered all the points. One of the things that you did mention, again, very important, is the different types as well. Obviously, you said, whether you've got a blog and e-commerce, you want to make sure that you are protecting the right thing as well. Obviously, WooCommerce, you've got a lot of payments and stuff like that. So you might be putting a lot more, a few more plugins into that specifically. But yeah, on the most part, go through the parts that we mentioned earlier, and you're going to get yourself some pretty good security all around, aren't you?
That's about it, guys. Right. So thanks for listening. Subscribe for this channel. Ask us any questions, and we look forward to bring you more and more videos this year. At the moment, we are lined for 2 videos per week. So subscribe, be notified, press that button so you get notification that we're going live or we are posting a video. And thanks for listening.
Perfect.